we are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMAjunkie Radio with gorgeous George and Goze. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMAjunkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communication stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMAjunkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMAjunkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMAjunkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goze.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMAjunkie Radio Show. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goze, our ace co-host. Back east, handling all the producing duties, it's going to be Danny. And we'll be joined shortly by our good friend Ken Hathaway, who, by the way, deserves the biggest shout out in the world for our new setup. He's a videographer, editor, and producer at USA Today Sports and MMAjunkie. He's also a co-host of the MMA Roadshow with John Morgan, so he'll be sitting with us here. He'll join us. But Goze, how about today? How about this step up that we're doing here from Ustream to Facebook Live and YouTube?
It's so funny because we've been doing the show so long that you can have the biggest name in that chair right there, and normally it doesn't faze me, but anytime we do an upgrade on the show, man, it's a little nerve-wracking. But
you're just waiting for that text to come in. Can't hear you. Stand to your left. Focus. Move back.
At any second, it should come through. But I just kind of want to echo what you said. Man, Ken Hathaway really worked his ass off on this project. The guys at USA Today, thank you so much for everything that you put into the show. And just, I can't believe how fast Kenny was able to put everything together and make it work. And Facebook Live, YouTube, so people are happy. Let's just have a great show.
The cameras,
the whole setup.
Yeah. Shout out to Mike Wallach. He also had a hand in this, in research and getting us through the summer when he gave us a step up from there. We knew eventually we wanted to get to something like this. So just a lot of people to thank. I can't begin to even start, the support from our editor-in-chief, our general manager, and behind the scenes, just everyone, chipping in with opinions and comments and, just getting us going, getting us off the ground here, because this is really, really going to be a huge step up.
And this is a good week to do it, to try something new, and because we have our trip this week. It's going to be a short week. A reminder, we're Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
right,
and then we go off on our trip to Virginia.
Yes. With
have we given out everybody that's going to be on this tour?
Go ahead.
All of them?
I think. Well, hold off.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna take some UFC fighters with us, along with Stitch Duran.
We can say that.
Yeah. He'll be here tomorrow, and we'll talk a little bit more about this and let you guys know where exactly we're gonna be and whether or not you guys can come.
Fields to the Garden 2. We'll talk about the upcoming trip that we have, but you'll only miss us for 2 days. We'll be back the following Monday to recap UFC 206. This past weekend, it was the TUF 24 finale. Here at the Palms, here in Las Vegas. Demetrius Johnson, arguably pound for pound #1 fighter on this planet, defended his title. But it wasn't the normal stroll in the park for Demetrius Johnson. He got tested, man. So to me, the season was validated in that they brought 16 regional and world champions, all from across the globe, different promotions, and they had them all duke it out. He had to beat 4 individuals to get to Demetrius Johnson, and man, he went in there guns a-blazing.
It's so weird that Demetrius Johnson can walk out of the Palms, not really with his head held low, but He did lose a round. That rarely happens, right?
Right.
He won 4 out of the 5 rounds.
Yeah.
But to us, it's like, oh my God, someone had a chance.
Right.
Any
Well,
other
that's why we
fight, we'd
tune
go,
in.
man, that guy got dominated.
That's why you tune in. You don't want to miss history. You know, there's a lot of times where you kind of know it's not a mismatch, but you just know one guy's more skilled than the other, or one gal's more skilled than the other. But you tune in because that's how history takes place.
Tim Elliott was such an awkward opponent. You saw the things that he was doing. I think he got a little bit in Demetrius' head in round 1, but I think once Demetrius figured things out, that's what makes him such a great champion, right? Is the ability to make the adjustments.
Yeah, and I'm hearing, because last night I was perusing social media, Elliott will probably now go to 135. He said that 25 cut was bad. He actually quit in the sauna. So somehow they grabbed him, threw him back in there, and he managed to make the championship weight of 125. You don't get the 1 pound allowance when it's a title fight, so he had to get to 125, and he did, and he went out there and he battled. He should be proud of himself, proud of his, made his team proud. He did a great job, and it was Team Benavidez pretty much all seasons. Things started out good for Team Cejudo, but Team Benavidez caught him and passed him because not only did he send the 2 fighters to the semifinal to decide who would fight Demetrius Johnson. We knew he had won that part of the season. Him as a coach, he had to battle Henry Cejudo in the co-main event. Dude, 125ers hit that hard? Oh my God. That's, I think we joke that, I think I could get in there and last with maybe the smaller weight class fellas. I'll get in there. Wait till they test some of this, I'm over 200 pounds.
Well, maybe you, not me.
And I'll never make the mistake of assuming anything. Those guys went out there, and it was like Batman, the old Batman series. Not the new one. The old bad one. Thud, pow,
zap.
wham. I mean, either that or they must have had mics under that 25-foot octagon. I like the smaller one. I couldn't believe it. I mean, they hit each other really hard. Cejudo's striking's come a long way. Benavidez was tested. He came out on top with the decision, a split, by the way. But wow, so he beat the other coach, and his fighters also made it to the finals. So Team Benavidez obviously got this one. But man, Cejudo, I can't wait to see him fight again, and I can't wait to see Benavidez and Johnson 3 because it's just got to happen now.
I'm glad that you brought up the small cage because I think the small cage played a big part in some of these fights, making them better. For one, Cejudo and Benavidez, I think they were banging because they basically have nowhere to go in that small cage. Demetrius Johnson, his movement is a little limited too in that smaller cage. It takes a while to get used to it, but I think that smaller cage gave us some better fights.
And so what we're talking about is on pay-per-views, when you see that big octagon and you see the smaller one, mostly on finale shows or Fox Sports 1, not always, but sometimes. Australia, for example, had the bigger one. It all depends whether the arena can take it or not. Anyway, here at the Palms, at the Pearl inside the Palms Casino Resort, it's a smaller venue, so they go with the smaller one. But you go from 30 feet across to 25 feet. Now, for you non-math majors, basically, at the end of the day, it's 33% of the octagon space that you've eliminated. So those fighters that like to move around and they need their space, you've taken it away from them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge. And so for a long time, we've been proponents. If you don't like decisions, if you like finishes, make them always fight in the smaller cage. But that's not going to happen. They're used to that.
The stats back it up.
They do, yeah. But that's not going to happen. We've already been told by Dana White, the UFC president, that, look, this is our octagon. This is what we chose. We're not going to go to 9 sides or 8 sides or 7 sides. And, occasionally you'll get the smaller octagon, but pretty much this is the official octagon, the 30-foot one. All right, continuing down, George Masvidal defeated Jake Ellenberger. Lots of controversy here. First of all, it was really, really turning into a great fight. And the fight had almost ended earlier that round because Masvidal really, really hurt Jake Ellenberger. Ellenberger got his wits about him. He came back. He competed. But in one of those exchanges, as Ellenberger came towards Masvidal, he got his foot.
And you're right. The mics were so good that we were actually able to hear his conversation. And he's thinking he could chalk the situation up to maybe like a cage malfunction or something like that.
Like in boxing, if you get twirled up in the ropes, you get undone. It's not a disqualification or a stoppage of any sort.
But let's make it clear, that's the reason there was a halt in the action. Not because he felt like Jake Ellenberger was on his way out.
Right.
It's because of that move. So you would think coming back, you would just get restarted in a similar position.
Similar position without the foot stuck. I think, or at least stand them up and just say, well, we're not going to stick his foot there or recreate that, I don't know, but everybody I know thought the fight was going to continue. It didn't. They just called it the stoppage right there. TKO stoppage. So we've heard that the Ellenberger camp is going to appeal this decision, and I think they should. We'll see what happens. A few weeks ago at Invicta, they overturned referee's decision there. Tanya Evinger is the champ still. I guess it's a no contest, so they're gonna run. I think they're gonna run that one back, and I think they should run this one back because it really was a great fight. We'll see what happens. I do want to stress once again, Masvidal was in the lead that round. Masvidal had doled out some damage, so if this is standing right now and he takes home his win bonus, I'm not gonna hate on that either. But I would like to see them run it back. If they do a no contest, I still hope everyone takes home what they're supposed to what they're supposed to take home. But I don't know. That ain't my business. Rounding out the main card, Jared Cannonier got a win. Sarah McMahon got a win. And Brandon Moreno got a win. That's the main card. Going down to the prelims, Ryan Hall, Rob Font, Don Hyun Kim, Jamie Moyle, they got wins. That completes Fox Sports 1, their 10-fight presentation. And on the UFC Fight Pass prelims, Anthony Smith and Devin Clark also got wins. So, folks, what do you want to talk about? Which fight do you want to talk about? 866-522-2846 is the number to call in. We can go in many directions here. We can talk about the greatness of Demetrius Johnson. Is he the best ever? Many people think so. Goze, is he the best ever? Or is that just too long of a conversation to start anything off right now?
It's really tough because one thing that people stress are the level of your opponents, right? And he has a division that hasn't been around as long as some of the other ones. But what he has done is take what I consider great fighters and make them look silly. So for me, I have him at the top of pound for pound for myself.
Ever? Or just now, current?
I'll think about ever.
Yeah,
for
Ever's,
sure
Ever's the tough one, but currently right now, Demetrius Johnson is something else. But he was tested by Tim Elliott, a game Tim Elliott. The other question I have is it time? Joseph Benavidez, the last time he lost to Demetrius Johnson, which made him 0-2 against Demetrius Johnson. Since then, he's rattled off 6 straight. What do you do? Demetrius is so great. He's cleared everyone else out. And Joseph has kind of cleared everybody else that tried to get to Demetrius, or wanted their second chance at Demetrius. So what do you do? I think you just got to make it. I'm in on that one.
What are your other options? What else can you do? I mean, what do you tell Joseph Benavidez? Just stick around and keep beating people? It doesn't make sense. Eventually, he has to do something that earns your trust to give him another title shot, and I think he deserves it.
Yeah. Sarah McMahon, I also want to ask you guys about her. 35 may be a little bit different here, all within a span of about 60 days. Miesha Tate is retired, and if things don't go well for Ronda Rousey, she may retire too. So we're looking at the Shevchenkos, Peñas, McMahons of the world to see who may be next for Nunes if she wins, or if Rousey wins and they don't call for an immediate rematch. Then what do? We got to figure out who the next contender might be. Do you think it's Sarah McMahon? She had a really good performance on Saturday night.
Her and Henry Cejudo, 2 wrestlers who have really shored up that striking game, and it's getting better and better.
Lastly, Ryan Hall and Gray Maynard. What did you guys think of that fight? People are saying they both ran. For one, Hall, he wanted his space, and he was landing a lot of kicks to the head, very sharp. But anytime Gray Maynard wanted to close the quarters, he would go to the ground. He wanted to entertain Gray Maynard in a grappling match, and mostly he wanted to attack his legs. On Maynard's side, he wanted Hall to stand up, but he also wouldn't engage him in his guard or go after him in any way like that. So I was trying to get a read for what really is the correct call. Tell you what, we'll discuss it when we get back. Get in the queue at 866-522-2846. We'll be taking calls today. We'll also be catching up with Rico Verhoeven. the #1 heavyweight over at Glory. He'll be fighting Badr Hari this weekend. Also, Lorenz Larkin, a free agent. What's he going to do? Stay with the UFC? Go to Bellator? We don't know. Mitch Gagnon video on SiriusXM Rush 93. We'll be right back after this break.
They're the OGs of MMA radio. Their mantles are littered with awards. Their guest lists are so grand that I can't do it. This is ridiculous. Here they are, Goze and George. Get real.
Tonight at 8:30 Eastern, it's a Monday Night Football matchup with Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts head to New York to face the Jets. Listen to the Colts call on Sirius 83, XM 226, or the Jets call on Sirius 81, XM 225. Enjoy the national broadcast on Sirius XM NFL Radio, Channel 88, or listen on your team's play-by-play calls on your phone with the Sirius XM app. That's right. Both hours are available, by the way, on demand on the Sirius XM app. Check it out, commercial free. So, Goze, did you let it marinate any more about Demetrius, or you want to get to the calls? Well, what do you think about this best ever, man? He's got to be at least in that top 5 talk.
But the thing about pound for pound is when you bring it up, I mean, this is an actual guy that's fought at different weight classes, right?
Right.
And he has had a few failures there. So, oh man, of all time, that's so tough.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's take some calls. We'll keep thinking about this. Remember, if you want to join the party, 866-522-2846. Let's talk to Marco in Waco. What's up, Marco?
From Waco, you guys looking sharp in YouTube, man.
Thank you.
I like it. I like it. And the Sirius XM, don't worry, I still listen to all your other shows on the Sirius XM app. Don't freak out. Hey, Best ever, man, I still think it's John Jones just because of his strength of his schedule. You know, like the legends that he has beaten, Machida, Shogun, Rampage, Rashad Evans, you know, Cormier. You put that face-to-face to the opponents of Demetrius, it's going to strength of schedule to just get the better record. Fantastic fight for Demetrius, but I don't think Benavidez is getting the next shot. And it's because he got his loss against him that was so devastating. I think Winslow Hayes or the winner of Formiga Pettis is going to get the next shot at Demetrius Johnson just because I chance of 125 for Benavidez. So they're keeping him in the back pockets in case of emergency, break the glass, and then you'll call Benavidez. We'll let you guys catch you guys tomorrow.
All right, Marco, we'll see you. Do you all agree? 866-522-2846. I mean, I kind of get what he's saying. What I don't want them to do is, for example, grab a guy like Brandon Moreno, who had a decent showing, even though he got eliminated early in the season. We heard he's getting better, and so far he's taken out two tough veterans, Louis Smolka and Chris Benoit. What I don't want to do is take the 20-year-old and say, here's the champ, because we got no one else. I feel like that happened with Horiguchi. I don't want to see it again. So, Formiga, I thought, has taken a loss since Benavidez lost his second time to Demetrius Johnson. So I'm not so sure if he's our guy, if Pettis is our guy. I don't know. I almost think that Joseph may tell you, if I can't beat this guy, I'm either retiring or going to 135 himself. But what else can he keep doing? You know, eliminating other title contenders? What if he beats Demetrius Johnson? Now things freshen up a little bit.
Well, there's certain situations where this comes up where you go, I don't want to watch it a third time. This isn't one of them.
It's Chuck and Tito. They talked me into it.
Yeah.
And he kind of had this face like, don't ask me any more questions. It's wacky to give someone his third shot. But I believe Miesha Tate was at some point going to face Ronda again if Ronda had bested home. I thought they were probably on a collision course for the second time. Mm-hmm. To be fair, one of the losses was in Strikeforce, but there was 2 losses to the incumbent.
But what helps her, too, is that second fight was a hell of a lot more competitive than the first fight.
Yeah.
In Benavidez, his first fight was more competitive than the second.
Yeah, I agree. All right. 866-522-2846. 2,044 were in attendance at the Palms Casino Resort on Saturday. Total gate was 188,602. We also had the payouts here, but first I'll give you the bonuses. The bonuses went to Fight of the Night, Jared Cannonier versus Ion Kutalaba, and the performances of the night went to Sarah McMahon and Anthony Smith. How did Benavidez and Cejudo not get Fight of the Night?
Well, what'd you think of the call on the fight?
If Benavidez won or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was probably
Let's start at the beginning. What
call.
did you think of the 2 low blows? Normally, in any other fight, there's 2 low blows like that. We probably don't have a problem with anybody taking away a point, right?
Right.
But these 2 were a little different in the sense that you could tell just the way they were moving, and they're both so awkward. You didn't have that feeling of it possibly being intentional.
Right.
They both really did look like mistakes.
Right.
I don't think I would have taken away a point. However, I don't think anybody should be outraged that they did it.
But when's the last time in an MMA fight we really did see something intentional? I think maybe more against the knees when they're colliding, and one gets a graze and the other one goes, here's one right back. But I'm talking about when it's the kicks. It's been a while since I can remember where I thought some guy just said, all right, bitch, here you go. Boom. You know, I'm going downtown on you and risking it. Usually those kicks are trying to get to the inner part of the thigh, or maybe they're trying to a push kick to the stomach, region. So that one's going to be really, really tough to go. That was the intentional one. 1 point. What happens is at some point you go, hey, you're getting a little reckless here. I gave you a warning. Maybe you should stay away from that area because you're not as accurate as others. Mm-hmm. And the other guy is slowly deteriorating. You know, you can't just take those and rebound. Even though you give 5 minutes, you don't just come back and say, yeah, I'm feeling 100%. I mean, they take a little bit of a toll on you. So that's when I think the referee will go, listen, man, you've been careless here. We're going to have to do that.
Well, I also think
take the point away.
It's when the same strike lands over and over, right? So if they're both kind of up against the cage and it's a knee, and then the second time it's a knee, that's where I kind of lean more towards, like, all right, we have to take away a point because you're not learning your lesson. You're doing the same thing, and it's coming out that way. When they're different strikes, like in their case, there were two guys that were going forward. It's not like they were went to throw the kick. The guy's not there no more, so it just didn't look intentional to me.
Did you call it for Benavidez?
No.
You thought Cejudo won?
I thought Cejudo won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them fight again. They have some of that heat, Latino heat. No, they really do. They're two guys that just aren't big fans of each other. So somewhere down the road, I'd like to see them run it back. But just really, really, really want to applaud both guys. That was an incredible fight. Here are the payouts for TUF 24 finale. Demetrius Johnson got paid $350,000, no win bonus. Tim Elliott, $100,000. So I guess that's what he got for winning the season, right? And the contract.
Yeah.
I guess 6 figures. There you go. There's your 6 figures.
That's a happy Tim Elliott.
It sure is. Joseph Benavidez, $140,000. That includes a $70,000 win bonus. Henry Cejudo, $50,000 for showing. George Masvidal, $120,000, includes a $60,000 bonus. Jake Ellenberger, $78,000 for showing. Jared Cannonier, $24,000, includes a $12,000 bonus. Ion Cutelaba, $12,000 for showing. Sarah McMahon, $56,000. She got $28,000 as part of her win bonus. Alexis Davis, $27,000 for showing. Brandon Marino, $24,000. 12 of that is his win bonus. Ryan Benoit, $15,000. Ryan Hall got $34,000. That includes a $17,000 win bonus. Gray Maynard, $51,000 for showing. Let's stop right there. Your thoughts on Gray Maynard? I think he's 37 years old. He was frustrated. It did look good. I thought he looked good at times.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he was in there against an awkward fella, and it limited, I guess, what he's normally used to doing. He wanted no part of being in his guard, ground and pound, for fear of maybe of Ryan Hall attacking the legs.
And I think that's maybe the only critique that he would get from that is I think some fans, some media would probably say you just can't have that fear. If you feel like you can't get the situation under control, at some point you have to take a chance as well, right, and just go down with him. And he's giving it to you, right? You get top position, work it. I think maybe that's the only criticism that someone would give him, but I can tell how frustrated he was and how frustrating the whole situation is. And that's not going to do Ryan Hall any favors. I mean, I know he got the victory, but he's going to be buried on the next card.
That kick to the head, man, he kept landing that over and over.
Yeah.
He is quick with that, Ryan Hall.
He is. And as far as Gray Maynard goes, I mean, I'd like to see him again. I thought he looked pretty decent.
Yeah.
He's in shape.
I'll do it again, too.
I don't mind giving him another shot.
Yeah, I agree. Rob Font, $33,000, includes a $16,500 win bonus. Matt Schnell, $10,000. Feel bad for Matt Schnell because he stepped in on a week's notice. What's he get out of it? A KO, probably a concussion.
Yeah.
You can only have your dance card punched a few times, and then you don't take him as well as you used to. And he's still a young guy. Should he have taken that fight? I know I'm the Monday morning quarterback, and it's easy for me to say now, but out of your class, 1 week notice. Granted, he's rolling the dice. We're in Vegas here. Right over there, man, there's people throwing the dice. If he wins, it's huge, but really, how huge is it? Okay, you get your win bonus. You got, you got a win over Rob Font, but you weren't going to continue as a bantamweight. Mm-hmm. You were just going to drop right back as a flyweight, and did it really do anything to shake it up? I don't know, man. I like Matt Schnell a lot. And I felt terrible for him. He battled, but now take no credit away from Rob Font. He looked really damn good.
I think you have to take the chance. The one thing that I would say, this is if I'm playing the role as a manager, I might say pay-per-view, yeah, take the shot. No pay-per-view, let's just wait.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing I can think of. But you're right, it's scary because he basically did them a favor. But he got his ticket punched in the process, and you only have so many of those.
Dong Hyun Kim, the maestro, not Stun Gun. It is Stun Gun Monday, too. He got $20,000, 10-10. Brendan O'Reilly, $10,000 to show. Jamie Moyle, $20,000, 10-10. Kaylin Curran, $20,000. Let me say something about Curran Goze. I think she's 1-4 in the UFC, but I swear to God, she's entertaining. I think she may get cut. But Jessica I kind of had a similar run, and they still gave her one more. I think it's because they were headed to Cleveland that time. But damn, dude, when Caitlin Curran just stands, I mean, I love the way she's got like some swag to her stand-up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She really pops that jab, throws that number 2. I like her movement. It's just that when she overcommits, boom, here comes the takedown. And on the ground, it's that's where she's losing these fights. But I don't think she's as bad as her record shows.
I don't think so either. I mean, to start off, she had Paige Van Zandt, right? And that was a very close fight.
Very close.
You're right. I mean, the stand-up looks crisp, and it's not like she's not working on her ground game. I mean, she had B.J. Penn in her camp most of that camp.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's the mental lapses that she has. That's what's causing her the problems. There was a moment where I think she threw a kick, and she got taken down from it. She was able to bounce back up, and she threw another one, and it got caught. I think at that point I would have said just abandon those kicks, because every time you do it, it puts you in trouble. She just has these little mental lapses, but I think she could be a great fighter.
Mm-hmm. Anthony Smith, 30,000, 15-15. Elvis Mutapcic, 16,000 to show. Devin Clark, 20,000, 10-10. Josh Stansberry, 12,000 to show. So there you have it. That's the Tough 24 finale. Lots of sidebars, lots of side stories coming out of that. We can get to any of those if you want to discuss. 866-522-2846.
What about the show in general? The show's been taking heat the last couple years. People are saying it's played out. I don't tune in no more. What do you think? I think I
like this season. I like this season, but not every season can you get 16 regional and world champions to compete for a shot at that champion. I like because the stakes were high. You win, you get a shot at Demetrius. Okay. You featherweights win, you get a shot at Jose. You bantamweights win, Dominic Cruz, and so on. I don't know that they can do that or will do that, so it's tough. But there is something to what were all of those champions? Veterans of mixed martial arts. Some had already been in the UFC before. The kid from Albuquerque, the Angel of Death.
Demasio Page.
He had been in the UFC before. So had Tim Elliott. So it reminded me of some of those seasons where, for one, the comeback season, but even season 5. Remember, Lazan had beaten Pulver before they went in. Mm-hmm. We knew who Nate Diaz was and a few of those other guys. So I think there was something to that. Okay, I'm going to tune in because I kind of know these guys. You're going to put them in a house and make them compete. When it's too many noobs, I get it. You're trying to discover the next one. But I think the UFC's already got that function going through RFA, through Legacy, which will now combine and become LFA, through Cage Warriors, through all the different shows that are out there. Titan, they're kind of creating that. They're doing that for you. Right now, if you're going to come back with something, come back with names that we're already invested in.
Are there 2 fighters out there, 2 coaches, that you just feel like they got to be on a season? Doesn't have to be now, but I want to see those 2 involved in a season.
I'll tell you what. I was thinking about Tough Talk. I don't know why on the way in. I was thinking about it, and I think it started because I thanked Laura Sanko for once again co-hosting last week. I thought she did a tremendous job on Saturday on Fox Sports.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, so who do they have now? They have Heidi Andro and reporters. And then I was thinking, I guess I went from Karen to Tough Talk. That's kind of her baby. But I was thinking, am I done with Tough Talk? I noticed this season I didn't do as many. Whereas the female season, I was in. So, just Claudia, and if not, then get 2 MMA fighters on the level of like what Vanderlei and Chael, where maybe they were gonna fight, or they did fight. There was some controversy, but there's got to be some heat. If the coaches are too respectful, like Pettis and Melendez, then them fighters better be something else, or I don't know if I can make it through the season.
You have no interest.
There's too much MMA out there.
There's no interest in Legends or anything like that, even though they can't fight.
No, how old are the Legends? 50s?
Yeah,
probably not. And they're gonna fight at the end,
or even like a Rich Franklin of sorts, someone that's been gone for a while now.
No, man, respect to all those fighters, but you're talking about the season, and if I have any say in it, and I want people to tune in, there's got to be heat, there's got to be drama. That's kind of the way I feel.
TNT?
Yeah, a little bit. Think about Jersey Shore.
All right.
Who really gives a shit about 7? What was it, 7?
I think so.
Italian Americans. All right. You could have put 7 Irish Americans, Mexican Americans, whatever. But
they
on
did
that
try
season,
that, and it didn't work.
No, but what happened was on this season, what happened was that guy punched Snooki, and that thing went all over the place, and so people kind of tuned into that. And then to their credit, you know, they bickered and they hooked up, and you know, Ronnie, the big guy, was punching someone else out, and so that got people going. And plus, the previews to the next episodes, I think people said, let me tune in and check it out. Oh, shit, all that went down next week? What time? And it took off. By the end of the season, they kind of became stars.
I didn't even know.
So they had
like
to bring them
existed.
back. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
All these other ones that have tried, I don't know if they had the drama or not because I didn't watch them, but that's kind of, not that I'm a supporter of a man hitting a woman, but I was like, whoa, what happened? Did she hit him back? Did the guys jump the guy? Did the guy get in trouble? That was the hook.
Okay.
You know, I think that's what did it. If you would have put 7 Mexican Americans in there or whatever, Russians, doesn't matter, Cubans, and they had some sort of a scene like that, it may have taken off as well.
I'm not so sure that it would have.
No?
Well, maybe it's because where we grew up, they're just. I felt like I didn't even know these people existed. Just watching the way they operated, the things they like to do. Like, we weren't used to that growing up. So that was my thing. That's why I watched it. I was like, wow, what, you got a tan every day? Like, what the fuck's going on?
I mean, a couple of the chicks were hot, and, you know, the guys, to their credit, a couple of them were slaying tail, and so there was hookups, there was drama. Yeah, it was funny.
I think for me it was funny than it was
Towards
drama.
the end, they knew it. They became stars. They're like, okay, we got to do this again. But, you know, they either had boyfriends and girlfriends and contracts and sponsorships, and it kind of went away, and that's why it went away, because it wasn't raw like that.
Speaking of Jersey Shore, did you see a Jersey Shore fanatic back in the day, Gerald Harris? How about that slam?
Dude, how about that slam?
That
was
dude wake
something
up
else. I don't know. And Michael Chavello, I thought his head was going to explode. That was awesome.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was the last Legacy Fighting Championship ever. And Gerald Harris, who's wanted to make a return to the UFC, but that's his, his second or third big slam, right? There was one that was ESPN Play of the Weekend or Play of the Night or something like that made the rounds.
Before that fight, he was, because he's been wanting to get on the new season of The Ultimate Fighter, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking, and he was saying, I have to do something to stand out in this fight. Because I have to do something that's going to make
Is that the pimp, by the way?
I don't think so, no. I got to do something to stand out and make a statement. So I knew he was going in with that mentality, but that slam. And then he walked away, and he just gave him deuces.
Yeah. Hey, listen, speaking of Access TV, Michael Chavello, our good friend Andrew Simon, wow, this weekend I heard that Daryl Ewalt, VP Executive Producer of Event Programming and Production, passed away. Man, our condolences to his family, his friends, his co-workers. I've been told by the Access TV family, who are good friends of ours, that this one really hit them hard. He was with them for at least 13 years, because I know Ron Kruk's been there that long, and he mentioned that in a Facebook post. And he when Pat Miletich was in here co-hosting about 4 weeks ago, Daryl actually was sitting there on that end.
Yeah.
We've also seen Daryl when they invited us to do Inside MMA in the past. And there was a time when myself and Big Ralph, my buddy in Tustin, we went to an RFA show, and Andrew Simon took us to the back to look at the truck. Remember I told you we went in the truck?
A war room.
And it looked like a war room. It looked like NASA. I thought a rocket was going to take off. And because there was so many TVs, and there was about 20 guys in there. Daryl was the one quarterbacking it all, telling people what to do, what camera. So I've seen him in action. Super nice guy. And that was tough to hear that he passed away. Yeah, it was this weekend, and I'm not at liberty to discuss the details, but it was just unexpected. I'll say that.
Yeah, I actually had Access TV in my mind the last couple of weeks, because I was thinking of Ulysses Gomez and the flying armbar they pulled off at Tough Enough. By the way, great show in Mesquite this past weekend. I just kept thinking, as soon as it happened, like, this is going to be on Inside MMA, right? This is going to be one of the highlights.
Yeah, it
and
normally
then
would be.
again with Gerald's slam, I was like, man, we really lost something, huh, with Inside MMA?
We sure did. Yeah. All right, so We're going to take our next commercial. This is our last commercial of the first hour. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. And I also want to let you know that in the second hour we have Lorenz Larkin, Rico Verhoeven, and Mitch Gagnon coming your way. We'll be right back after this break.
They are the reason Donald Trump wants to build a wall. They are Gorgeous George and Goze, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
How did your fantasy football team play this week? Whether you're on your way to the playoffs, have a must-win game to survive, or just got eliminated, the place to talk fantasy football is Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Plus, you can hear a preview of tonight's Jets-Colts game from the fantasy football perspective on Sirius 210, XM87, and on your phone with the Sirius XM app. Following this show on Sirius is Busted Open. They will be previewing tonight's Raw and going over everything that happened this past weekend in the world of pro wrestling. Doug Mortman and Dave LaGreca. It's the award-winning Busted Open show. And, of course, we'll continue here on, let me say this for the Facebook listeners, we're also available on youtube.com/MMA Junkie Video. And for those of you watching on YouTube, if you want to take a look at the Facebook, it's facebook.com/official MMA Junkie. All right. In the second hour, we'll be talking to Lorenz Larkin, who, as far as I know, is still a free agent. Goes real quick. What do you think he winds up? UFC or Bellator? Just give me one name.
I think he ends up in Bellator.
Bellator?
Yeah, I mean, this process.
He did work with Scott Coker before at Strikeforce. He needed to go through a 90-day period, I think, to get out of the.
But he's been out of that period, I think, for at least 2 weeks.
At least 2 weeks, yeah.
And to me, this is a coveted free agent. Mm-hmm. It's a young cat. I mean, he's fast. He's got the style that people want to watch. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why that doesn't get locked up right now. And if you look at Bellator and look at their welterweight division, you have Koreshkov, you got Lima, you got Rory now, you got MVP. it's appealing to go over there.
Yeah. And the new brass at WME IMG seems like they're playing a little hardball. You know, from the little tidbits you get here on the forums. Oh, Conor hasn't gotten his call. They stripped him of his title. Even they're saying they're relinquished. Joanne Calderwood couldn't get tickets to 206, and I'm hearing maybe that something similar cases over the weekend. Tickets, just weren't as available. So it could be that they're saying, "Hey, man, we're changing things. We paid $4.2 billion. We're gonna tighten things up a little bit over here at WME IMG." I don't know, and that trickle effect for the fighters, who knows? But there's also the new association where one of them is just going to benefit UFC athletes. The one that's got the most traction right now is MMAAA. That's Mixed Martial Arts Athletes Association. Bjorn Rebney assisting on that. GSP, Cain Velasquez, TJ Dillashaw, Cowboy Cerrone, and Tim Kennedy. By the way, 2 of them fight this weekend. It'll be interesting to see if they get a warm embrace or a cold shoulder. But they're only looking to work with UFC athletes, and if Lorenz has always wanted maybe to think about a retirement or a bigger piece of the pie or whatever, there's some stuff to consider there.
He's in a crowd right now where everybody wears the same thing, right? Basically, he's always talked about how he wants to be promoted a little bit more. I think it was on our show we interviewed him one time, and he said that he had to get his own tickets, to go in just to see the Fight Expo, right? I mean, they gave him a ticket, but he had to fly himself out, and he's done that before. Just in going to Bellator alone, just showing up, you're already being marketed in your own way, just coming down that ramp, right? You look back at the Jumbotron or whatever the hell they call that. It's got its own flair, its own style for the fighter. I think he ends up over there, man. I really do. And it's a shame because he's a guy that the UFC should want to hold on to.
Well, we'll talk to him in the second hour. Mitch Gagnon fighting Matthew Lopez at UFC 206 this weekend. We'll talk to him. And Rico Verhoeven, the Glory heavyweight champion. He's got like 5 or 6 title defenses. He fights a legend in the game of kickboxing, and that's Badr Hari. Verhoeven has one MMA fight. He has trained over at American Kickboxing Academy. But right now, he's the man over there at Glory in the heavyweight division. And this is a fight that everybody's looking forward to, so I'm excited to talk to him. Let's talk to one of our listeners here from Clearwater Beach. It's the Clearwater Beach bad boy. What's up, man?
Fellas, Clearwater Beach bad boy checking in. How is everybody?
Good, and you?
Guys, let me explain something to you. Can you imagine if the NBA had such an issue with attendance and people watching it and talking about it, that the only way it could have any sort of interest is if Tom Brady signed to play point guard for the fucking Milwaukee Bucks? And let me explain to you what I'm talking about. Boxing. And you guys and I have talked about this. It has become a third-tier sport. It is hindering around WNBA and college wrestling. And let me explain to you a little bit more, and then I want your take on it, because I know you guys are big boxing fans. You like the boxing. Stitch comes in, whatever the hell. The most compelling boxing's on the silver screen anyways anymore. And that is Conor McGregor and this teasing of a boxing license. Is there one boxing match right now with current people that could get in that ring and fight that would be bigger or more interesting than McGregor and Mayweather? Even Pacquiao Mayweather. Give me one other boxing match that would draw as much national attention as that right now, and I'll listen.
So Mayweather's got to be in the equation because a lot of people want to see Triple G and Canelo.
No, you pick any two guys. There ain't nobody going to draw bigger than Mayweather, but go ahead. Give me two guys that could fight right now that wouldn't be, not Pacquiao and Tyson. Give me two guys that could fight right now that would be a bigger fight in boxing than Mayweather and Conor McGregor.
There probably isn't, except for Pacquiao and Mayweather too. But there probably isn't because Ward's too big for Triple G. Triple G is big for Canelo, but I think that one will happen, whereas I don't think the other one won't happen. Even the rematch of Kovalev Ward won't sell. Nothing will sell like Pacquiao and Mayweather. And I don't know that sells like McGregor or Mayweather. And here's why. Because McGregor made a good point this past weekend. He said, throw out Floyd and Pacquiao. I'm delivering better numbers than Floyd is. And he's right. He really is.
Guys, it's a sad state of affairs. And real quick, your in-studio guest, is that The Miz from WWE? I am a big fan. I've watched him for years. He's one of the best talkers on the mic. It's good to see you guys starting to put professional wrestling into the program. Always a big fan.
Has he appeared, though? How does he know that? He hasn't appeared yet. He's on a conference call right here, but he'll be here in the second part of the show.
Is?
Thanks for calling.
Guys, listen, always good to talk to you. Enough people don't thank you for what you do, guys. And as always, remember, keep Squid in our thoughts and prayers. God bless.
All right, we'll see you. Hey, who won the Squid? I haven't graded it, man.
I don't know.
The Squid versus Gabe from L.A. Do I have my notes from this past? I usually rip them and then put them in a stack and then grade them, but that's something I didn't do. So I gotta catch that up. But perhaps Jim is saying that Squid may not have gotten the best of Gabe this weekend. Who knows?
Damn.
If you want to play versus the Squid, we have a few weeks left. I think this week is a short week, so we're going with Jordan from Denver versus Sammy the Squid. They're going to make 5 football picks, college or pro, sides or total, and we'll do that on Wednesday. Also, previewing the rest of the week, aside from our 3 guests coming in, Lorenz Larkin, Mitch Gagnon, and Rico Verhoeven for today. Tomorrow, our co-host for the day will be Stitch Duran, boxing and MMA legendary cutman, also co-author of From the Fields to the Garden 2. It is out. For more information, go to stitchduran.com, but that book is available on Amazon. And the other co-author, Zach Robinson, will call in from Germany, so it'll be fun to have them both on at the same time. On Wednesday, looking towards Wednesday, we'll be talking to Sammy the Squid and Jordan from Denver. Also, comedian Joey Diaz is going to give us his picks for UFC 206. Hopefully, he's got a parlay for us. He's done well with those in the past. Ben Askren will join us as well.
Nice.
And the UFC heavyweight champion, Stipe Miocic, a.k.a. Stipe Music. He'll also stop by on Wednesday.
That's a who's who right there.
Yeah, so it's a short week, but it's going to be a fun week. And again, we won't be here on Thursday or Friday, but you can always count on us, usually Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific to 12 p.m. Pacific, or 1 to 3 Eastern time, however you want to look at it. The MMA Junkie Radio Show closing in on 2,500 shows. This weekend goes, I think I uploaded 2,340. I think we're in that mark.
23.
So we're a little over 100. We're about 150 shows away from 2,500.
You remember all of them?
Hell
If somebody
no.
goes, hey, remember that time? Blank.
No, I
wouldn't
don't.
even.
No. I'll give you an example. There's a few of the lesser-known names where I do have to go back and go, have we had, like Groovy Lando, I won't forget that. But someone along the lines of maybe from RFA or something, I'm like, wait a minute, this sounds familiar. I'll go back, I'll take a look, and yes, we have, and I just forgot about it because they're like 4 years apart.
Who do you think we've had on the most in 10 years?
Oh, boy. So Trig's out of the equation, right?
Yeah.
I would say Stitch is up there. I would say King Mo is up there. I'd say Johnny Hendricks, Joe Lazan. Geez, I don't know. How about you? What's your guess?
Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
Lozon, I think, is a pretty good one. He's been on here quite a bit.
Yeah, because I'm
And he
thinking from
fights often.
2007 till now, and it's got to be a veteran, that's for sure. All right, folks. So, SiriusXM audience, next up for you is Busted Open with Doug Mortman and Dave LaGreca. And the rest of you, keep it locked in here on Facebook.com/official MMA Junkie and YouTube.com/MMA Junkie video. We're going to continue the second hour of the show. We'll be right back. right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. I'm looking at Lorenz Larkin's Twitter, @the_monsoon. He's asking Sherdog to update his picture because they're still going when he was a light heavyweight, it looks like. And so this is a guy that weighed in at light heavyweight and then probably packed on a few by fight time because he's in a cage at this point. And maybe back in the Strikeforce days. I can't tell by the cage. But Lorenz always keeps it light and funny. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Lorenz? How you doing?
What's going on, guys?
Not much. Who noticed that you needed to update your picture on Sherdog? Was that you or someone else brought that to your attention?
You know, I seen it, man. I seen it a while ago, and then it just kind of like skipped my mind. And then somebody called, like a fan called me, and was like, "Hey, you should have Sherdog change your profile pic, man." Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna write him on Twitter right now.
So that's probably a picture for when you were a light heavyweight, right?
Yeah.
You would weigh in at 205 or 206, and what would you rehydrate to when you were a light heavyweight?
Nah, man, I don't know. 213.
213. All right. And when you fight at 170, what do you rehydrate to?
Oh, that's a secret. I can't discuss.
Oh, you can't discuss it? All right. We're just going to assume it's 185.
That's
about a 30-pound.
What do you think it is?
15 pounds. I mean, some guys put on 10, some guys put on 20, but let's just put him in the middle. So he's competing at 28 pounds less than he used to. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I got to apologize to Lorenz Larkin, George.
Why is that?
Because when we were in break, our producer goes, okay, I got Lorenz's number. I'm going to call him. And I told you, man, Lorenz never answers on the first one. And I had already written out, hey, dog, we just called you. Producer called, got your voicemail. Give us a call back. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, Danny shows up and goes, Lorenz is there, and he's ready to go. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, you shut him up.
Like you
shut Goze up, Larkin. Good job.
Yep. That's always my goal.
What does a free agent do? You know, I mean, you're not training for a fight. You're probably waiting to find out what might be your next step. Do you just go out there and keep training, or are you like number crunching and actually participating in this free agency period?
Oh man, I got my little tax hat on, you know, with the little receipt, the little calculator. Mm-hmm. Trying to crunch these numbers. No, man, I'm just trying to chill. You know, I'm just relaxing and I'm just kind of letting it go with the flow. I'm not trying to let it like stress me out or nothing like that. So, you know, I'm just going about my day.
Are you letting Audie and all them kind of sift through the numbers and the offers, or are you I guess an aggressive participant in all this? Like, do you need to be informed of every single update, or do you just want to know once everything comes in, you go into the office and you just pick a packet?
I'm kind of hands-on, you know, but I don't want to know too much because sometimes, you know, it's just when you know too much, there's nothing really happening, you know, for us. So, you know, sometimes I just want to know how meetings went and, you know, and they let me know, and that's pretty much what it boils down to. It's just I like to know, but not that much, you know, so that they let me know the important things.
When do you think all this will wrap up?
I don't know. You know, I was hoping after I was able to talk to promotions, you know, it'd probably wrap up in a week. But I don't know. I'm really thinking like 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, I'm thinking I should have something.
And have all the promotions that you wanted to hear from, have they already touched base?
Yeah, you know, so right now it's pretty much, I know that are really interested is UFC, Bellator, and Ryzen.
Ryzen, okay. So we got a third horse in the race. And then what about 1FC and WSOF, also considered big players in the game? Have you heard from them?
No, we haven't heard anything from them.
Okay. How's that overseas money? I mean, do those guys stack up to the number 1 and number 2 here in North America? Is Ryzen a player, or Was it, cute little offer that you just kind of put off to the side?
You know, I know that they're still putting together an offer, but I'm pretty sure, that I've seen guys get paid pretty good over there. So, I don't know who to say what the offer will be, But
yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Over the weekend, Crow Cop was pissed because Vanderlei pulled out of a fight. Vanderlei finally answered 2 days later, but in that answer, he mentioned, hey, I want to fight. I'm supposed to scoop up a $1 million payday. Now, granted, I know he's Vanderlei Silva, a legend in the game who's accomplished a lot. Obviously, no disrespect to you, Lorenz, you haven't gotten there yet. But still, that number, I was like, whoa, $1 million. If he's being genuine with us, that's quite a number. And that's why I'm asking about Rizin. That seems like they are pretty serious out there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I know that show. I believe the last show was at the Saitama Arena or something like that. I'm not too sure, but it looked packed in there.
Yeah, definitely.
I've never really seen a dead show out in Japan.
Lorenz Larkin, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He is a free agent, but he has done the thing over at Strikeforce and most recently the UFC as a welterweight. Coveted free agent, getting offers everywhere. All right, Goze, what do you have for Lorenz Larkin?
Lorenz, I kind of want to go through the sequence of events with you because this is a rare situation that you're in. Usually with a fighter, before his last fight on the contract, he gets offered a contract. And a lot of times, the fighter will re-up at that moment. When they gave you that option before that fight, what happened? Were they even close ballpark of what you wanted?
No, not at all.
So then that puts you where you roll the dice, correct?
Yeah, so it was pretty much one of those things where it was a ridiculous offer, and then I talked with my manager, and I'm just kind of like, I'm not going to sign this, and they agreed, so then it was kind of like one of those things where, well, what happens now? Because I've never been in this position before, so I don't know if you don't sign it, then what happens? Like the fight doesn't go on, or so then he let me know that they said that you can fight. You can still fight. You can fight the last contract. Your last fight on your contract. So then, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, because then I just kind of took that as like a slap in the face because I felt like they're kind of rolling the dice against me. So they were signing me for for something a lot less. They're banking on me to lose.
So after that situation, you go out, you fight a tough competitor, and you get the victory. In most people's minds, now it means when you go back to the drawing table, you probably have even more power. What happened then? What was the next offer like?
Yeah, did the number improve after you beat Magny?
No number yet.
Oh, okay. I thought the UFC had already made an offer. They've just touched base, but they haven't made an offer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see. Huh. Well, and do you feel like this is me being a conspiracy theorist, which I really am not too often, but Neil Magny's the type of guy that stuffs a lot of striker-based guys. You're all mixed martial artists, I get it, but you like to stand and bang. Do you even think the matchup may have been to maybe stifle, maybe make it difficult for you to get the win to have more leverage, or am I thinking too much into this?
Oh, as far as how I felt, going to the fight?
Yeah.
About
like when they gave you the Magny matchup, did you think, these guys are making it difficult for me? I guess it made sense. The matchup kind of made sense as far as both you guys are on your career. But like I say, Magny's got that suffocating style that he can take a striker off his feet and take the wind out of his sail.
Well, yeah, I just kind of felt like, I was a kind of like a last minute replacement because Kim got hurt, so I probably thought that once when I didn't accept that offer, they're probably just going to be like, okay, well, we'll give it to somebody else, And once they said you can fight it out, I was just kind of thinking like, I guess I'm one of those guys that kind of, if something happens, like 10 minutes later after, I get done talking, I'm kind of just like marinating in it. And I'm just like, you know what? So I'm like driving, I'm like, you know what? They're like betting against you right now. So I'm kind of like talking to myself. But, that's what I felt like, Magny's on a tear, man. You got to do is look at what he's done in the cage, So I'm looking at it like they're just like, okay, well, take this fight, save this fight, because if not, then I don't know if they can replace me with somebody else in the time frame.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just kind of like, well, take this fight, you'll lose, and then we'll come back with probably like a lower offer, and then we pretty much got you by the balls.
Mm-hmm. Wow. All right. Interesting chat we're having here. And so the UFC has shown interest but not made an offer, and Bellator, just to be clear, they've shown interest. Have they made an offer?
No, not yet.
Is part of you wondering, like I am, like what the fuck's going on?
Yeah, it's just, I would say it's just a turn of events that the time framing, that how everything is happening, it's like, I know that they want to, it's just that I know they just got done wrapping up a show this weekend. So that's why I said, in a week or two, I should be hearing a lot of things,
Yeah.
I should be able to answer a lot of questions for myself.
Is it better?
Everything.
Sorry to cut you off. I keep doing it. Sorry again. Is it better to maybe ride out the holidays and then talk business, or do you want to know going into the holidays where you stand?
Like I said, there's not that much pressure because I know there's interest. I think it'll be different if I'm just sitting here and nobody's, talking about nothing.
Right.
But I mean, I know I'm going to have a place somewhere, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just kind of how the time frame of everything is happening. It's right in the middle of things going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I hope I can get it wrapped up, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. As long as I know that there's, that these certain people are going to throw offers.
Lorenz Larkin, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. We are prying into his free agent business here on the MMA Junkie Radio show. Lorenz, just a couple more questions here. Is it pretty much like, does anybody have a lead in the race? Let's say the money's even across the board. Because you were with the UFC, do they already have kind of that advantage? Like, does Bellator need to come stronger? A lot of athletes say, I really do want to stay with the UFC, but I do also want to hear other offers, and my mind may be changed. Where do you sit?
I'm just more about, the contract being right, and like you said, if everything's matched with money across the board, then it boils down to my second need, and that's, I want to work, and I don't want to just like fight. No, I'm not saying like I want to commentate because I can't commentate, but I would like to do things. I would like to be active in the company that I'm employed by.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my big things coming into this free agency. That was a problem for me.
Right.
So I would just want to get put. I'm not scared to work. I don't want to not work. I don't want to just fight all the time. I want to do other things that puts me closer with fans and just any type of things like that. So that's the other thing that would have to be on that contract.
Yeah. If the UFC had like a channel goes, and they had something similar to like Rob Dyrdek, is that his name?
Yeah.
Just like a wacky 1 hour show where we're doing stuff. Lorenz, I think, would be a good host. I like following him on social media and just seeing what he's up to.
Well, half of the videos would be about him on hoverboards and stuff, right?
I guess so, yeah. but I think he's got, there is something there, especially with the younger generation. Interesting to hear all this. Lorenz Larkin, again, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio.
Lorenz, do you feel your relationship with the new brass, does this negotiation feel any different at all, or do they have a personality, you could say?
I don't. I've never met them, so I don't really know too much about them. And yeah, I don't really know too much about them. And then they didn't invite me. I don't know if it's because I'm a free agent or not, but they had something that was kind of like a summit, but it was for the vets. I don't even know if I'm considered a vet. But
well, you fought for them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're about 10 fights in. Hell yeah, you're a veteran.
Well, with Zuffa, I'm like 15 fights.
Yeah, that's right. When they acquired Strikeforce.
Yes, I don't know. But they had like a vet retreat to like meet and like talk about the new owners and stuff like that. But yep, I didn't get that invitation.
Hey,
Lorenz. All right, we also have Ken Hathaway here from the MMA Roadshow with John Morgan. Ken, what do you have for Lorenz Larkin?
I was just going to say, I'd chime in. I actually was there. We were doing a little filming outside of it, and I know that they're hoping to do more of these vet summits as kind of the take that I took from it.
So they're not done yet.
They're not done yet. This is something that they can replicate more. They always do the new fighter summit, and Lorenz, you maybe went to one of those when they first did. They used to do it when guys were coming in, and then they realized that there was a market and there was a need to address to, I don't want to say older fighters or fighters that have been there and maybe are going to make the transition on at some particular point. So they started addressing that need. But from what I got from them is it's something they're going to do again. It was like a test run to see how it works, and they talked about branding. They talked about financial stuff. They talked a little bit about all that kind of stuff. But and you can go back to on MMAjunkie. I did a little video on it, and you could see some of the players that were there. I want to say like Matt Brown was there. I'm going to fail and miss a bunch of other guys. But don't think that they don't consider. I would say don't think that they don't consider you a vet. I would say keep bugging them because it's the kind of thing.
Rothwell was another name.
Rothwell was there.
Okay.
It'll happen again. I think they were just testing the format and they could only send out so many. It was a small space. Normally they take these big, huge rooms and they have like hundreds of guys in there. It was one room that was specifically set aside to kind of do stuff. So there was maybe, I don't know, less than 20 fighters, and there's a lot of vets that they haven't got to yet. So hopefully they'll get to you because you definitely deserve it. So hopefully everything gets squared away and you stay where you belong, or you go somewhere and make lots of money. All the best to that. So I just wanted to chime in and say that that's something that they did mess with, and hopefully it's something that they can increase because everybody that we talked to appreciated what it was. So.
There you go, Lorenz. There might still be a shot.
Oh, okay. There we go. There's a little light at the end of that tunnel.
There you go.
Last thing I wanted to ask you was the MMAAA, which is the Mixed Martial Arts Athlete Association, Bjorn Rebney, George St. Pierre, King Velasquez. You know what I'm talking about, right? The group that was founded last week. They, they came out strong. I would say that between them, the MMAFA and the PFA, they seem to have, I guess, the most push right now, the most buzz. However, they've stated they only want to work with the UFC for now. Will them at all and what they're trying to do influence your type of decision? Meaning, of course, well, if you do want to maybe collectively bargain one day, and let's say they are successful, it's the UFC athletes that are going to be fighting for, pension and benefits and stuff like that. So is that something that weighs on you?
Even just say if I wasn't in this position and we're just talking because I don't know, I have a fight. That makes it. That itself makes no sense. Just saying that you're going to have like a fighters association, but it's only for UFC. Like to me, that's like a joke itself. It's just like saying that there's going to be a fighters association, but it's only for the Dallas Cowboys. But like they only want to work with the Jets. Like that's already like, I don't know. That's just fishy to me. So I don't know. I don't try to pay really that much attention to it when things happen like that. It kind of just throws me off.
Has any of those associations reached out to you?
No, but I'm glad because I wouldn't be a part of that.
Really? So the associations can save themselves some time. There's no need to reach out to Lorenz Larkin?
No, not with that type of stuff. I didn't even tell you the truth. I didn't even know that until you just said it right now. Because I just read like a little, like kind of just brushed through it, but I didn't really get like the full details. But I didn't know that they're just saying that at this point they only want to work with the UFC right now. That's like fishy to me.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man. You updated us on a lot, and hopefully, like you said, in a week or two, this thing comes to a conclusion, and we find out where your new home will be, wherever it may be. Obviously, we wish you much success. The coverage definitely won't stop. You're one of the great 170-pounders out there. If it's Bellator, they're starting to carve out a nice little division over there. If it's the UFC, well, we know what that one's like because you've been a destroyer within that one as well. So all I can say is, good luck, man. Hopefully this is fun for you. This kind of should be fun. You're like a hot chick in high school, and lots of people are asking you to the prom, right? Is that except not many people have asked yet, but you're hearing the rumors that they're going to ask.
Hey, I like that, a little analogy.
Did you go to prom, or were you a geek?
No, I went to prom.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool. If he hadn't, can you imagine that? Just called a professional fighter a geek.
And I got
to see him in a couple days. That wouldn't have been too much fun.
Know,
I'll admit, I was kind of a geek. I only went to a couple dances, but like there was guys that like all 4 years, man. They were.
Well, we only have so many cousins too, so it's like
that's true.
Only so many dates.
All right, Lorenz. We've had enough fun, man. I guess we'll be seeing you in a few days. Thank you so much for your time, as always, and enjoy the free agent experience.
Guys, I want to give a shout-out. Didn't forget you guys, Junkie Nation. And to all my fans out there, I don't know if you guys seen it on my Instagram or Twitter, but you guys can hit me up on my number now. So it's up there on my info.
I did see that this
His
morning.
phone number?
Yeah.
You put your real phone number, or you got a backup number that you're only going to check once a week?
No, man, I put my little number up there, man. So, let's dance.
This guy really wants to make it to the summit, doesn't he? He's wondering if people lost his number.
There's a thing out there like Google Voice. Not to just promote one particular thing. Google Voice, you can get a fake number and it'll route to your shit.
Oh yeah.
So if you don't want to put out your real digits, Google Voice, you can get like a Google number and it'll forward it to your stuff. You could actually put an app on your phone and you could dial out using this other number. So, but it'll all route back to your phone. So, Lorenz, I applaud you for putting that shit out there. But if you want to go that route, that might be something you want to do too.
So you're saying, Lorenz, take down your real number right now,
maybe put up something
and do the Google Voice that routes to this one.
Just so you have that ability. You don't want to be on the can and somebody's hitting you up and you're like, oh, stop right now.
Hey, has people been calling already?
Yeah.
Anyone blowing you up yet?
Oh yeah, man. Once I put it up, I get all these people that are like, "Is this really Lorenz?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's going on?" They're like, "What the fuck? Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?"
That's awesome.
Damn, that is cool. Do you reserve certain times of the day where you're going to answer the phone, or because does someone have to text you first before they can get through? How does this work?
No, they just call, and periodically throughout the day, and
test it. You
if I'm right by my phone, I'll answer.
Right.
Holy shit, this is incredible.
Well, I remember
King Mo's done that before.
He did it, but remember it was 5 years ago, and we were telling him, dude, I don't know if that's a good idea, but he did it anyway.
Right.
And he came back, he calls the next day, and he goes, yeah, I kind of got a lot. Then he came back 2 months later, and he goes, dog, that was a mistake. He goes, my phone exploded.
It just doesn't stop, right? Yeah. All right. Good luck with that experiment, Lorenz. At least now you have the Google Voice backup.
Yeah. Do that backup.
What? Yeah, you know what? They're pretty, like, the fans are pretty respectful, man. They just, kind of talk to you for a quick second, and they're just like, all right, man, I'll let you get on with your day, and it's cool. It's I've had not a bad experience yet.
That's good shit.
All right.
Well, plus you'd have their number too. If they said the wrong thing, it's like, hey, I got your digits too, dog.
I know, and I just Googled you, so I'll be there in a little bit.
All right, Lorenz, take care, my man. We'll see you in a few days.
All right, guys.
All right, take care.
All right.
See you. All right, folks, we're going to take our only break of the second hour. Thanks again to Goze for lining that one up. Lorenz Larkin, great guy, and it seems like he's in a stressful time Free agency can be fun, and it can also be stressful, but he'll get through this. He's exciting. He's coming off a win over Neil Magny, for crying out loud.
Yeah, right?
Right, on a big card.
That's real right there. That's real deal.
I mean, he delivers. He's got one of the most fantastic striking arsenals out there. Of his 18 wins, 11 by KO. All right, folks, we're going to take this break, like I said. And when we come back, we'll talk to Mitch Gagnon, Rico Verhoeven, back-to-back. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goze.
All right, I also want to welcome to the show Ken Hathaway. I mentioned his credentials earlier: producer, editor, videographer for USA Today Sports and MMA Junkie, as is he the co-host of the MMA Roadshow with John Morgan. Welcome, Kenny. How you doing?
Good. I'm glad to be here. Sorry, I wanted to come earlier on, but business called, conference calls.
And we're glad you've been here the last 2 days because you pulled off what I thought might be a miracle. I knew it could get done. I just didn't think it would be that smooth.
Yeah, it worked out. I mean, granted, even me and Goze talked about it before, and I was a ball of stress right in my stomach right before it got, right before we started, just hoping that everything would work. And we did a lot of testing, and, I actually kind of got a little lashing because I didn't do a lot of the testing public or private. We kind of just put it out there. So forgive us, junkie radio fans.
Well, I don't
junkie
think we
fans
did anything too offensive.
No,
It's not like
it
we
was
were
good. It was
BAing
good.
the camera or nothing like that, right?
They might have liked that.
Well, you know, I've been working the glutes.
It was a good process, and I just hope that we can keep going forward. I mean, people are watching on Facebook. I think they're liking it. We're getting it on YouTube, and people are addressing the fact there's some issues on it. But we're gonna tweak it. I can't tweak it on the fly right now without possibly risking breaking everything. So we'll address that, and we'll try to get it. But I'm glad people are looking at it. I mean, it was a good need. You guys put out such a good product that we want to push it everywhere that we can. So if we can reach the Facebook people, we can reach the YouTube people. You're already getting the serious listeners, and no, it's great. I'm just glad it's worked out, and we'll just keep it going. I mean, now I can see your lovely faces in HD, and
yeah, I gotta moisturize.
Exactly, everything, man. I was putting on all kinds of creams. All right,
I thought you had a little something on there.
We're gonna talk to Mitch Gagnon now. He's a UFC bantamweight, and he's closing in on almost 2 years of inactivity. He had an injury, but now he's ready to do his thing at UFC 206. His opponent that night will be Matthew Lopez. Mitch, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, man. How about you guys?
Great. I'm glad we were able to catch up before your fight, because it's been a while since we've been able to talk to you and just kind of catch up on things with you. So, other than your health, that we knew that's what kind of kept you out the last couple of years. Just how have you been as a person? As one of these many fine athletes that we cover from every day of the year.
Yeah, I've been good, man. I've been it's been great. I got a newborn. Well, not newborn. She's a year old now, but lots has happened since last time I fought, and I just can't wait to be back.
Was this a refreshing time away? Again, putting the injury to the side, mentally, are you in a better state? Are you just excited to, I guess, start another run?
I think I'm just mentally where I was when I first got injured. I was, although I came off a loss, I learned a lot from that loss, and I was, I'm just happy to be back healthy, and I can't wait for December 10th. It was a great camp, and everything went well, and I just can't wait.
I remember that fight. Hennon was coming off his title losses, and a lot of fans, a lot of media were saying, they're giving him Mitch kind of as a tune-up. But, man, you went in there and you battled. For one, did you also get that feeling like maybe you were being served up, or that the media and fans felt that as well? And what did it feel like to compete with one of the top bantamweights that had, even in a losing effort, that had to give you a lot of confidence?
Yeah, I really don't listen to the keyboard warriors all that much, which I really don't care. I knew I was able to compete against Hennon, and I really felt like if I wouldn't have done a few mistakes, I was well on my way to win that fight. That doesn't really bother me at all. So I just had to learn, had some mistakes I've done, and I'm a better person because of it.
You get a home game at UFC 206 versus Matthew Lopez. There are going to be a lot of Mitch Gagnon supporters in the arena?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely will be a big crowd of Northern Ontario fans out there.
Good to hear. All right, Goze, what do you have for Mitch?
Mitch, we've had a couple of fighters come on this show before and say when they had a kid, it kind of changed them for a little bit. It made them, I think I want to say the word was less evil. It was harder to be a monster in the cage. Did you have any of that when you had your kid?
No. It's not at all. No, there's two different lives, and I separate them. When I'm in camp and I'm in the gym, I'm still that guy that's hungry and want to, destroy my opponent. And when I'm at home, I'm a father and a husband. So it doesn't really change.
During your 4-fight win streak, could you point to one thing that you could say clicked for you that enabled you to go on that run?
I think one of the big things that, for me anyways, is I think I'm very mentally strong. I don't get a lot of little things get to me. If I had a bad sparring day or, bunch of keyboard warriors saying that, like with the Henan Barao thing, like that really didn't bother me at all. Being an underdog in that fight, I was like, I think 1-9 underdog. I was a really bad underdog in that fight. That stuff doesn't bother me. I'm very mentally strong. I know my capabilities, and just that's my mindset in every fight. Like the guy in front of me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead and
Yeah,
finish.
go ahead.
No, finish, please.
Yeah, the guy in front of me is just my weight, man. There's he has 2 fists just like me. It's whoever his game plan works better that night will win.
Mitch, since we've known you and covered you, the last 5 years, really only 2 top guys, one's a former champion, have been able to stop you. For the most part, you've been able to get past most of the bantamweights. Would you say that, I guess, you're still looking for that key top 10 win, I guess, that will solidify that you are a contender?
Yeah, it's one of those things that I want to get to and fight, back in that top 10 where I think I belong. And but I'm not looking past Matthew Lopez this weekend. He's a scrappy kid and he's coming to fight. So, but I do believe I belong in that top 10. Category I went from being a prospect to fighting, at the time, the number 1 contender in the bantamweight division. And, I gave him hell in that fight. So it's just about putting a win streak together and getting back in that top 10.
And you gave him hell on the road, too, man. Winning in Brazil is not easy. Doing well in Brazil is not easy. A lot of fighters have a tough time, but I remember that fight vividly, and that was almost your night. So good stuff. All right, last question. Do you feel like you're better now than you were 2 years ago?
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm better. I've kept learning. Although I was on the shelf, I was still in the gym, still learning. And I think I'm a way better fighter. I've especially off losses, I always feel like I come back stronger mentally and physically, and I just get better. It's hard to when you're on a winning streak to evolve. But when you lose, you kind of take a step back and reassess what you've done wrong and what you can improve on. So, I definitely think I'm a way better fighter than my last fight.
December 10th at UFC 206, you face Matthew Lopez. You're envisioning your hand getting raised. How do you get there? What type of a finish do you envision that night?
I envision a sub or a knockout, but it's not going past a second.
There you go. All right. So this is going to get done. Within 10 minutes.
That's the plan.
All right. Great to catch up with you. I'm glad you're alive and healthy and doing your thing, and always a pleasure talking to you. We'll talk to you soon after the fight. Good luck at UFC 206 against Matthew Lopez.
Thanks, man.
All right. We'll see you.
All right.
Follow him on Twitter at Mitch Gagnon UFC. Also follow Lorenz on Twitter at _monsoon. Our last guest hasn't called in yet, but he will soon. His name is Rico Verhoeven. He's the Glory heavyweight champion. Big fight coming up between him and Badr Hari at Glory 36. It's called Collision, and it's in Oberhausen, Germany. You can watch it on the UFC Fight Pass. However, it is a pay-per-view, $29.99. But this fight alone may be worth it. It was a 1-hour countdown show that I was watching. I got through about 30 minutes just to catch up on both guys and see where they're at. Mm-hmm. Hari's still a scary motherfucker. I'll tell you that much, man. They were interviewing. I think his name was Todd Grisham from ESPN. He was interviewing them, and then at the end he just goes, "Thank you for not hitting me," jokingly, And Badr joked. Badr, not Jeremy Badr, but Badr Hari laughed along and joked along. But he was saying, I am who I am. Yeah, he says, I am who I am. He realizes he's made mistakes. He served some time, behind bars, and he's had a lot of allegations, and he's, a lot of things go wrong, and I think he'll even tell you I've done some bad things. But putting all that to the side, when he goes in and competes in kickboxing, he's a beast. He's got like 106 wins and like 90 KOs.
Wow, that's crazy.
Pretty much 90%.
That's crazy.
I don't understand how.
So when he says it's going to end by knockout, he's not bullshitting.
Yeah.
What's that?
I don't understand how their bodies hold up with those type of fights and how long they last and just the preparation, the actual fight.
Yeah.
Their bodies must kill the next day.
Now, Verhoeven is working on like his 6th title defense, but this won't be for a title. I'm going to clarify with Rico. However, it appears that Badr Hari didn't want to go 5 rounds. He didn't care about the title, so this is just going to be 3 rounds.
Interesting.
It will be interesting, yeah. You know, he's been conditioning his body, Rico, for the last 7 fights to go 5 rounds, and now he doesn't have to do it. So I guess there'll be maybe more in the gas tank. Who knows? Imposing figure himself, man. He's like 6'4", 6'5", 250, solid.
Oof.
Yeah.
Completely opposite of me.
Wouldn't want to be on his bad side either.
I think
he's
all
definitely
of us.
like thicker, I guess, than Badr Hari. So this definitely should be a good one.
Yeah.
He should be calling in soon.
I'm excited about seeing Mitch back again. I'm actually leaving on a plane tomorrow to go to Toronto to cover that event.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, I was just looking at the PR schedule. It doesn't look like he's lined up for the media day, but hopefully we'll get a chance to maybe talk with him. If anything else, that's why you guys are awesome, always reaching out and touching the guys that maybe don't get a chance to speak at the media day. Maybe not touching is the right word. Talking to.
And that Matthew Lopez, we've seen him fight at, I think, RFA and Combate Goes?
I think so.
Yeah, he's tough.
Yeah,
he's got a motor on him, so he's got his hands full. After 2 years, they didn't give him a gimme either.
Yeah,
that's going to be a really, really good fight.
Should be fun. A lot of people have kind of been iffy about this card. I think 206 is still going to be all right. I think it's still going to be worth a watch. So I love these weekends when we have so much, multiple events going on. There's so much to watch. It's a little overwhelming to work a lot of times, but I love weekends like this for fight fans. It's just like MMA, nonstop MMA, so.
Let me say something real fast. Shout out to Darian Caldwell, who got past Joe Taimangla, and also Eduardo Dantas defended against Joe Warren. So that'll probably be your next matchup. In fact, I'm pretty sure it'll be your next matchup for the Bellator bantamweight title. That happened this past weekend, back-to-back shows. And Stitch Duran was telling me, man, the place was really, really packed, and that Windstar Casino, Resort and Casino, is no joke. All right, so Kenny, we didn't get you the first hour, so we'll try and compress here before Rico calls in. So, again, many thanks for the help you did here. And then you said something interesting to me. You were headed to a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
about 10 days later than the actual Thanksgiving, but
right.
all because guys like yourself sacrifice, travel the world, cover the sport. You and John Morgan actually had spent Thanksgiving in Melbourne, Australia, covering for MMAjunkie.
It doesn't sound like a sacrifice when you think too much. Like, oh, you're in Australia, you're covering the UFC, but it can be. It does boil down that you're away from your loved ones, you're away from your family, for especially big ones. Thanksgiving's like one of those ones where it's you always get to see those family members you haven't seen, and you kind of get to have those moments. But this one I got to spend with a lot of UFC family and the fighters. But it was unique. That UFC actually went out of their way, and they had arranged something for their staff and some of their international folks that have never had a Thanksgiving. And we were lucky enough, since we were some of the only American media there, that they said, hey, you guys want to come join us for dinner? And they had some smoked turkeys and whatnot and all that good stuff. So we actually got to have a little bit something then, but still didn't add up and make up for the missed time here. So yesterday had a chance with the girlfriend, and John came over because his family's out of town right now. So we came over and had our Thanksgiving last night. Turkey, the fixin', stuffing, all that good stuff. It was great. It was good to have that moment. So
all right, our next, and obviously, I told you about Kenny and John. They do the MMA Roadshow with John Morgan. It drops on our site on Fridays, but I noticed they did do a 0.5, so check it out. It's on the site now. And for more information on Ken, you can give him a follow at Ken S. Hathaway. Big Buckeyes fan, so he's probably on cloud 9 right now after they announced that playoff.
So stoked.
Rico Verhoeven was going to join us, but now I notice he's gone. But I think he's calling in right now, so we'll have him here in just a second. And let me just give you the particulars on him. You can follow him on Twitter at Rico Verhoeven. It's RICOVERHOEVEN. He's the Glory Heavyweight Kickboxing Champion. He's fighting Badr Hari, and that's going down December 10th. Should be a good one. All right, he's back, and he's joining us now. Hello, Rico. How you doing?
Hi, what's up, guys? I'm good. How are you?
Good. Welcome to MMAjunkie Radio. You're on with George and Goze. We also have Ken Hathaway from the MMA Roadshow. It's a pleasure to have you on. So, Rico, Badr Hari, I saw the preview show. I got through most of it yesterday, man. He's pretty intense. You're ready. I'm pumped up for this fight on December 10th. And I guess it all started from a list that he made. You were on his list of guys he wanted to take out. So it's kind of personal, isn't it? Rico, you there?
Oh, he dropped.
I thought
he dropped again.
I thought he was just formulating a really deep answer.
So did I.
I mean, if somebody calls you out, you gotta jump on it. But
yeah,
who's gonna call out a guy that size that's got some serious strikes?
Not me. Did I offend him? Is list a bad word in Dutch, or
who knows?
Could be. They're lost in translation.
Maybe. Yeah. He called in before. I imagine he'll call in again. We'll see.
I'm not putting that dude on any list, man.
Right?
Nikki is also on that fight card. Goes Nikki Holson.
Yeah.
He's on that fight card. I did have a list compiled of, who we wanted to beat up, I guess, or defeat, who we wanted to compete against. Rico was on that list. So I think when Badr was trying to make it personal, like maybe it was a Rico call out, he was careful to point out that, wait a minute, my name was on your list.
Yeah, maybe there was a past opponent that he beat that was buddies with him or something.
I don't know. But Rico's been the man for about 2 years now, 3 years now.
Yeah.
Because I told you guys he had that title defense, or 5 or 6 of them. So literally, he's been the champion for all of 2015, all of 2016. He acquired the belt in 2014. He's KO'd 3 of his last 5 opponents. He's just been the man right now over there at Glory. And
well, they say you can't be the man unless you beat the man. So maybe it's just clearly that, you see somebody at the top of the game and he's like, I got to take him out or people won't, see me.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
Well, Badr's a legend. Badr Hari's a legend. So this is a great win for Rico. We can get past him. Rico, though, for him not to be interested in taking the world title, I don't know. The only other thing I can think of is because he hasn't been as active, he may just be thinking, I don't want to go 5 rounds.
That's what I'm thinking.
I want to go 3 and still be a big win if I beat the guy.
Can you imagine taking a shot from one of those guys?
Man.
Do you know how much more I think it would hurt than taking an Edson Barbosa or something like that?
I don't want to take one of those either.
Because there's 6'5" versions of Edson Barbosa.
250-pound version. Maybe fight time or 265, whatever he is.
265.
I wouldn't even, when you're at the gym as a joke, hey, give me a number 5 out of 10. I wouldn't even play that game.
The leg kicks?
I think it would honestly slap my leg.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a big cat. Ooh. All right, well, I don't know what's happening. He hasn't called back yet. And I don't even have my computer to type fast. But anyway, back to Kenny and the MMA Roadshow. What did you guys discuss yesterday? Was it talking about Thanksgiving and food, or?
Well, I think we were in a little bit of a Thanksgiving food slumber after having some of that. But we kind of just recounted the Ultimate Fighter finale and some of our thoughts on those fights there. Whether or not we thought that the fight of the night went to the wrong fight, or DJ's
I thought so
performance.
Too. Did you guys think that?
Yeah,
Benavidez and Cejudo?
I was leaning a lot more towards that. I mean, no offense to Jared and Ian's fight. I thought that was an interesting and unique fight too. Those guys were thrown down, but I just loved the back and forth, and I think also too just the build up to it. Maybe it added extra in my mind that I was putting more onto the fight than what I saw. But I thought it was a great fight back to back. I thought, if anything in my book, that would have been maybe the front runner. I think that was the front runner in a lot of people's minds, especially their minds. They could visibly were upset at the end of the night, when they found out they didn't get the fight of the night. They were just kind of like, "What? Are you serious?"
They've had the 1 and 4 performance of the nights before.
Really?
And they bypassed the fight of the night.
Yeah.
But I've also thought, would it be fair to have 2 fight of the nights and just no performance of the nights?
They've made weird calls like that before. Where remember when they used to do the KO of the night, submission of the night? If something didn't, fit the bill, hey, we got this money, let's give something else. They got that leeway. I mean, I'm surprised.
I guess maybe the discretionary might come in the mail, but who knows? I don't know. Maybe WME and IMG don't roll that way.
If I'm a fighter, I'm not making any noise when it comes to bonuses or discretionary. I was just like, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
That should be interesting. But yeah, so we just kind of recounted that and just kind of planned for what's going to go on this week. It's back on the road for me. Morgan's actually going to be holding the home fort down, so he's not working the Albany event or the Toronto event, so he'll be back here in the States.
Oh, because it's back-to-back, Albany.
Back-to-back kind of stuff. Yeah, so should be interesting. But, we just talked about that, and we just relaxed. It's so often I see that, Kat, where we're gone somewhere and we're just tired. It's the end of the night. We're sick of seeing each other's faces, but we know we got to get work done. This was a night where we just kind of got to relax and just be a couple dudes having beers and just talking fights, and actually we're rested up and stuff. And
how do you do that though? How do you get back to normal? Because it's the jet lag and all that.
I don't know what is. I guess maybe we don't know what normal is, or you just you get used to, I guess, getting those little moments where you're in a time zone and and you kind of feel a little normal. What's tough is like when you make a jump over to like say one of the Asian, like Melbourne was like 16 hours ahead and the day before, so we literally left at like 7 or 8 in the morning, and we landed at 7 or 8 in the morning on the same day back in the States. So it was nuts, and then I think my body just gave out for like hours, but you just get used to it.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Rico's back.
Oh, Rico.
Let me try and hammer out and see if we can. We're running out of time here, but Rico, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, we didn't piss you off or anything, did we?
No, sorry guys. It's just I was crossing over from the Dutch border over to the German border.
Oh.
I'm in the car right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're already driving to Oberhausen, just in the mood and relax,
Okay. Well, listen,
that was the problem.
We don't have too much time, so let me make it quick. I was watching the preview show, and it seemed like where this got a little personal was Badr Hari had made a list. You were on that list, kind of like like a hitman list. Is that kind of what started the rivalry?
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, it's kind of what started it, but in the end, nobody really responded to it. Like no promoters really. Got interested in the fight, and the moment when I was on a TV show, and the host asked me like, "Hey, would you like to fight Badr?" So yeah, why not? He said, "Well, here's the camera. Put out a challenge."
Yeah.
So that's the moment when it started. So I just said, "Hey, Badr, if you want to finish as the best, like you always say, like you're the best, I'm the best right now. So you got to face the best, and that's me. So if you want it, let's go at it."
How come?
And it was on national television, so everybody went crazy.
Gotcha, I gotcha. How come he didn't want to fight for the title? He's the one that's making this a 3-round fight, right?
Yeah. So he said, I don't want to go for 5 rounds. I never fought for 5 rounds. So in the past, because all the K1 fights were 3 times 3.
Right.
Now his explanation is he's gonna knock me out in the first round, and then the glory belt is worth nothing anymore. And then after this fight, he wants a rematch, and then he wants to fight for the belt. So that's his explanation now. So let's see. But probably after this fight, I'm gonna hurt him so bad he doesn't want a second fight.
And you've been KO'ing too. You have in your last 5 fights of those title defenses, 3 of them ended in KO. So. We're seeing you have a striking arsenal as well. He's had his prediction is it ends in the first round. What's your prediction?
Yeah, it could be in the first round, but could also be in the second. Depends on how he's going to expose himself in the first. Maybe he's going to wait a little bit, but if he's going to attack like crazy in the first round, he's definitely going to get exposed and he's going to get hit.
Last question, Rico. We only have about 30 seconds. Are you going to return to MMA at any point? You're 1-0. I saw that. You train with AKA?
Yeah. I hope so. Let's see what 2017 is holding for me. I'm now focusing on this fight, but definitely still interested in MMA. And let's see after this fight what's going to happen.
Folks, that's the Glory Heavyweight Kickboxing Champion, Rico Verhoeven. Follow him on Twitter, @Rico Verhoeven. He fights on December 10th versus Badr Hari. Should be a great one on the UFC Fight Pass $29.99. Thank you, Rico, for the time. Safe travels to Oberhausen.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for calling back. We appreciate your time. See you, champ.
All right. No problem.
All right.
Cheers,
Bye.
bye-bye.
All right, so thank you to Mitch Gagnon. Thank you to Rico Verhoeven. Touch of gloves to Zach for making that happen. Mitch for making the two Mitches for making the Mitch Gagnon happen. And I'll touch your glove, Goze, for Lorenz Larkin. Kenny, thanks for stopping by.
Can I get a glove?
Touch your glove, yeah. We're out of here, folks. Go out there and be champions. And the Facebook era, the YouTube era, it's begun, and we're really, really happy.